UN refugees can be deployed in many different programs, and I really do see great potential for this facility. From our perspective, we see great potential for this facility to increase even further over the next couple of years. I mean, look at the opportunities we have with this very considerable refugee community, many of whom hold professional qualifications from back home. Many have obtained qualifications here in Jordan. And of course, this is an enormous untapped potential in terms of opportunities, not just for UNHCR operations, but really for the entire UN family. UNV refugees can be deployed in many different programs, and I really do see great potential for this facility.
A warm welcome to this live chat from Emmanuel Brakai. We shall be together for the next 20 to 30 minutes. And before we start this live chat, I wanted to invite you all to let us know by writing in the chat window where you are joining from. And also, do ask any questions, as we intend to dedicate some time answering them at the end of this live chat. In the face of the ongoing war in Ukraine, with millions of Ukrainians impacted and displaced, the United Nations Volunteers Program is supporting United Nations agencies and partners in their emergency response in Ukraine, the Czech Republic, Hungary, Moldova, Poland, Romania, and Slovakia. Throughout the past months, we have deployed volunteers in 8 countries. This said, we have currently 89 serving volunteers in Ukraine, 5 in Belarus, 9 in Moldova, 5 in Poland, 2 in Hungary, 4 in Romania, 4 in Slovakia, 4 in Turkey, and 38 under recruitment in Bulgaria. The live chat of today aims to unpack further the Refugee UN Volunteer category, as well as so to say, unpack a little bit further of how many volunteers are engaged with UNHCR as Refugee UN volunteers. Where are they serving? And what is UNHCR doing in frame of the Ukraine emergency? We have today in this live chat 2 distinguished guests, Viktoriia Ushakova and Cenge Moneg. I invite them to introduce themselves.
Hi everyone. Hi Cenge and Manuel. My name is Viktoriia Ushakova. I'm Ukrainian. I recently started to serve as a Refugee UN volunteer at the UNHCR Hungary. I graduated from National Law Academy in Kharkiv, Ukraine. I am a lawyer. I used to have my private legal practice in Ukraine, Kyiv, in commercial, civil, and family law.
Perfect. So, Cenge, maybe you want to introduce yourself to the audience?
Yes, thank you very much. Hi, everyone. My name is Cenge Moneg. I work as a senior HR associate in the Division of Human Resources of UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency. I'm focal point for partnership with the UNV program and for UNV deployments in the organization. Otherwise, I'm a qualified, dedicated, and experienced HR practitioner with experience gained from private sector and humanitarian sector. And a very well welcome to everyone who is here with us and listens to us today.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Cenge and Viktoriia, for the introductions. Viktoriia, you mentioned that you were a lawyer back home in Ukraine, yes, and now you are a Refugee UN volunteer in Hungary. Yes. Can you please share with us how does it feel to be a Refugee UN volunteer?
It feels good to be a UN volunteer. As a UN volunteer, I see my main task to find out main needs, current needs of Ukrainians here in Hungary, and to help them to meet these needs with resources of UNHCR and our partner organizations.
Mm-hmm. And if I may ask you, and I'm sure that this is one of the questions that many people that are listening now will be curious to know, how did you hear about this opportunity? From a refugee, you are now part of the UN system as a refugee UN volunteer.
One of my colleagues told me about this assignment, about this opportunity, because before I started to serve as a refugee UN volunteer, I worked for 3 months as an interpreter, Russian, Ukrainian, English for UNHCR and our refugees. And about the position of interpreter, I read in one of the social media groups for Ukrainians.
Okay.
When when I came to Hungary, I started to help Hungarian volunteers to help Ukrainians, and I connected with many social media groups, and that's in one of this group I write about this position.
Perfect. So it's true that the social media is where the conversations are happening, but not only, also where the recruitments are happening. So we are very glad to hear that you use social media as a tool to hear about us, and that gave you this fantastic opportunity to be a volunteer with UNHCR. But to hear a bit more about the refugee UN volunteer, I will ask Cenga the same question. Cenga, can you tell us a little bit more on the category?
Sure, thank you very much. But allow me to start with a very short overview on what UNV and UNHCR has in common and about the valued partnership, because this is dating back to 2019 when we started to partner with UN Volunteer Program, because the UN volunteers are particularly suited to support UNHCR's mandate, which is refugee protection and humanitarian assistance. Every year around now in Hungary, UN volunteers support UNHCR in more than 70 countries at local and international level too. And this refugee and volunteer modality is a joint initiative of UNV and UNHCR. I could label it as a local talent management solution and refugee empowerment tool available to those individuals who are under protective status. UNHCR has been continuously looking for innovative and long-lasting solutions to better support the people we serve, and this is how the concept of the refugee UN volunteer modality was born. It is a very smart humanitarian solution. It's basically about the engagement of refugees for UN volunteer assignments, where their skills and expertise are essential and indispensable.
Right.
You might maybe ask why it is a smart humanitarian solution. Well, yeah, because I said this term, sorry, maybe I can explain myself.
No, absolutely. I particularly like the fact that you are saying that the volunteers are well suited into the UNHCR mandate, and that's if you say so, I 100% agree with you, as well as with your idea of refugee UN category, UN volunteers being a category that suits to the local talent solutions, because through the category, refugees are becoming from passive beneficiaries to active stakeholders in the process of sustainable solutions at the end of the day. So I will get back to this in a while to you, Tsenge. I wanted to ask Viktoriia a little bit of her personal story. How did she arrive from Ukraine, and how did she find herself in Hungary from a busy lawyer to a refugee and afterwards a UN volunteer?
I have been in Hungary from March this year. I was forced to flee from Ukraine, as many other women with kids, in search of safe place for my kid because of the war. And we came here as a big group. my 2.5 years old son at that moment. He was 2.5 years old. My 70 years old mom, my sister-in-law with her only 3 months old daughter and her elderly parents, and my friend with her daughter. And and as I told you, I couldn't be only passive, and I have my husband and my brother and my other relatives in Ukraine, and unfortunately I can't help them. I worry about their safety, but I decided that I can help here in Hungary to other Ukrainians, women and kids, and that's why I started to help Hungarian volunteers, and after that, now I started to serve as a refugee UN volunteer. I think that as a part of UN team, I can be more useful for my society. Now.
Viktoriia, thank you very much for sharing your personal story. It's touching, and I'm hoping that this opportunity will connect somehow with your future career paths once you go back. So what are the plans?
Do you know, Manuel, it's very difficult to tell about my plans right now, because when we came here, we thought that it's for 2-3 weeks, and now I'm here almost 6 months, and we'll see. Maybe I want to come back to Ukraine as soon as possible, as soon as Ukraine will be a safe place for my child. And maybe I continue to be a lawyer in Ukraine, but more in humanitarian field, or maybe I will be a part of a UNHCR team. We'll see.
Beautiful. We are happy to hear that this experience has somehow shaped your future paths. As a matter of fact, many UN volunteers, they stay behind in the UN system as full staff members, some of which we are very proud to see in senior positions with other agencies, funds, and programs, including UNHCR. So definitely, that's the spirit. Thank you for sharing with us also the fact that your volunteerism spirit and the civic engagement is pushing you to help volunteers in Hungary, but why not also the refugee community who is living there? Because these are some of the values that we as an organization promote through our mandate. I will go to my next question, and it's the same for both speakers. Maybe Cengi or Viktoriia, you decide who will start, but if you can tell us, what do you enjoy most in your work? And or if you can tell us something that you really got inspired, that you want to take with you after this experience.
Okay. I think that with this assignment, I am gaining new skills, new knowledges, and I have never worked before in an international team, and it's very interesting and exciting experience for me. Yeah. Okay.
Perfect. Would that be a general call for whoever is listening us, or a recommendation for people who are listening that they should come to UNV or UNHCR? Would you recommend that?
Oh, yes, of course. We need new people in our team.
And regarding the one takeaway, what would that be from this Hungarian experience, Viktoriia? Something that you won't forget, something that you will carry with you, if you want to share with us one.
I think my new friends, which I found here in Hungary. and
Okay.
not only among my colleagues.
Okay, I will ask the same question to Cenge, or if Cenge would like to say something around the UNHCR activities in the, so to say, operations for the Ukraine emergency.
Yes, of course. Yeah, thank you very much, Manuel, and thank you very much, Victoria, for your touching stories. And I really hope all the best for the future if you would like to continue your career back in the Ukraine after your successful assignment as refugee and volunteer here in Hungary. So as to the context of the humanitarian crisis in Ukraine, UNHCR stays and delivers. Our colleagues are on the ground in Ukraine and in neighboring countries to protect and assist people forced to flee. Since February, nearly 7 million refugees from Ukraine have been recorded across Europe. Based on a recent survey conducted by UNHCR among Ukrainian refugees fled into the neighboring countries of Ukraine, nearly 40% of the individuals flagged employment or information on job opportunities as the second most essential need after financial aid or cash assistance. So now we are very happy to hear it from Victoria that actually she managed it. She realized it. She has an employment or an engagement with the UN entity, and she has a meaningful assignment. She can help the community where she is from, and she can also help UNHCR to connect to this community in a softer way. So the assignment of Victoria is the first one, which materialized in Hungary. And as of today in Hungary, Slovakia, and Romania, UNHCR is looking for 25 refugee and volunteers for different functions and roles. So I encourage all the people listening to us to spread the word. Application to the UN volunteering vacancies is happening through the UN volunteer platform. But the opportunities are, of course, broadly advertised on social media, where Victoria finds it as well, on LinkedIn, Facebook, and UNHCR Career Twitter page. And the easiest way to find information about these refugee and volunteer modalities with UNHCR is to follow me on LinkedIn.
Perfect. You mentioned 25 open positions for refugee UN volunteers in 3 countries: Hungary, Slovakia, and
Romania.
Romania. Sorry. Would you know around which professional category they are, just so that the audience keeps an eye?
Of course. So we are searching for field assistants, as Victoria is a field assistant too. We are searching for protection assistants. We are searching for community, social community managers, if I'm not mistaken, and many more.
Yeah, and they are open only to candidates that have legal residence and refugee status in one of the 3 countries that we just spoke?
Correct. So at the time of the start of the assignment, so starting of the assignment, the person needs to be legally in the country and needs to be under a certain protective status.
Perfect. And I know that right now, all those people that are listening, they are saying, how about non-refugee people? What are their chances? From the UN Volunteers Program, I would recommend each and everyone to visit unv.org, our official website, and from there, our application system, which is visibly shown in a tab. And we update on daily basis opportunities with UNHCR, but also with other agencies, funds, and programs, not only for the refugee UN volunteer category, but for a range of categories, including, and our flagship category is international UNV specialist. So I invite each and everyone to visit the application system, the website, but as Cenge mentioned, many of the discussions are happening online. LinkedIn channel of UNV is being one of them. You heard from our speaker, Cenge is using her own channel as a platform to advertise those opportunities, not only for UN volunteer positions, but also for other regular UNHCR positions. So I invite each and everyone to follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and other social media channels where we are present. At the same time, our colleagues are putting the links of all of these official websites as well as application systems in the chat window of the social media that you are participating. So take a look at that, and maybe after this live chat, you may want to follow up and have a, let's so to say, a deeper visit and stay. Let me check if we are done with the questions, because we promised to our audience that we will take some time to answer their questions. And I know that there are lots of questions out there. So let me start with, I'm trying to read some of them. So I will start with the first one, which is about the UNHCR. So for you, Cenge, can you please tell us a little bit more of where can people apply for other UNHCR positions?
Yes, of course, and thank you very much for the question, because indeed UNHCR's personnel is not only relying on UN volunteers, but we have other type of engagements too. So beside this, we offer a variety of other type of local and international, short-term, fixed-term, staff and affiliates contracts. We constantly seek new talents. So time to apply and to go on our main website. UNHCR has a dedicated career page. It's one of the sub pages of the main web page. And there you can see an overview of all the type of different contractual modalities. Recruitment processes are explained. Applicants can find tutorials how to optimize job applications, prepare for written assessment, interviews, etc. And all current openings are available there with direct links. And I would like to mention a very important thing, that beside the constant openings throughout the year, UNHCR has twice a year a compendium of vacancies. It's happening end of March, beginning of April, end of September, beginning of October. And the compendium contains hundreds of opportunities in the areas of expertise that are needed to support the different emergencies across the globe. So stay tuned, because autumn compendium will be released very soon.
And where will it be released?
It will be released on our website. So
on the official website?
On the official website under the UNHCR career page.
Okay. And if people have any questions, how do they do?
If people have any questions, we have basically our talent outreach associate, Dora Jordash, who is present on LinkedIn, and through tutorials and through like global guidance, all the necessary information can be found under her social media and LinkedIn account.
Perfect. Before I close, I wanted to ask you one last question, Cenge. If there is one piece of advice when people make an application that they shouldn't be missing, like when you write, when you apply, or anything, what would that be? I know that you have a long experience in the area, so I'm sure that the audience will appreciate that advice from you.
Thank you. Well, it will be just a personal advice, maybe not a professional one. But I will focus on the motivation and on the expertise. Everyone has an expertise, and it's his or her own. So please try to highlight it. Maybe we need you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Cenge. I have a couple of other questions, and I will come back to you with another question, because I see that UNHCR, there are a lot of questions about UNHCR. But let me take a question on I would like to volunteer to help refugees. How do I do that, please? This is one of the questions that many people are writing, and it's legitimate. It's one of the questions that anybody would think in an emergency context. So there are two ways that you can help us, the United Nations system, and ultimately the Ukrainian community who is living in Ukraine or outside of Ukraine. One, if you are a national of one of the countries where refugees are settled, you can become a UN volunteer with UNHCR or other agencies, funds, and programs, because we have positions also with WHO, which is World Health Organization, International Organization for Migration, and UNDP and others. But if you are a person living in another region, you can always consider to apply to international positions that we oftentimes have in Ukraine or neighboring countries. So keep an eye at our application system. As I said, new opportunities are posted sometimes even on daily basis. I would 100% agree with the advice of Chenge in terms of, now if Chenge would ask me the same question, would say, Manuel, you have worked with UNV for quite some time now. What would be that advice? I would have said the same. Try to look at the expertise and skills required, and try to reflect it in your CV to the extent possible, as clear as possible, so that there is a clear match between what is being required and what you are offering. You know that your CV, your application, is your business card. So try to do it well and try to take some time in elaborating and bringing it to an expert strategic application. It's not a secret anymore that organizations like UNHCR, UNV, and other UN entities are not lacking number of applications, but qualitative applications. So try to keep that at the back of your mind when you apply. Last but not least, I wanted to mention that I will look in the direction of Chenge for some sort of confirmation that the selection method in most UN agencies, including UN volunteers, but also at UNHCR, is through a competency-based interviewing, which is a very special method that requires prior preparation. And I have noticed sometimes that people that really have the skill set, just because of the lack of the preparation, may not shine, so to say, during this interview. So try to do a little bit of preparation in advance. There is lots of materials online when it comes to how to prepare, what to consider, and one and the other. So if you do a strong and strategic application and based on skills and expertise, as Chenge mentioned, and if you prepare well for a competency-based interview, I think you would have already increased and maximized your chances. I will stop here with a question for Viktoriia. Can you please tell us what you remember the most about your volunteer experience so far? So what is one thing that you really like in your experience?
I really like that I can help people directly. I can do something for them and it's useful for them. For example, how I had a case with one pregnant woman, and she needed translation in maternity hospital because doctors couldn't understand her, and I really could help her and to explain everything what she wanted to be explained.
So this is UN volunteers, and these are volunteers with UNHCR and beyond. Thank you very much, Viktoriia. Let me read another question, maybe for Chenge. Is UNV or UNHCR helping UN refugee volunteers with visas or legal documents? Maybe refugees with visas and legal documents? I mean, Cengiz, can you say something around that?
Well, it's a quite complicated question, I think, but as priorly said, so at the time of application and at the time of starting of the assignment, the person has to have some protective status. So it means that the person is already recorded in the given country, or as a refugee, or as a person of concern. But maybe through the application process, this is something that we can clarify with our protection colleagues that we are closely working with. I would say that it depends on an individual basis. But thank you very much for the question. Yes, it's a relevant question indeed.
Okay. And now I see a related question like the eligibility requirements. So one is the status. Is there any other eligibility requirements in terms of education, age, or
age
anything?
is as for any other local UN volunteer assignments, as far as I know, so 27 years of age. Then, as we mentioned, this protective status or refugee status in the program country. Education, the education, what is the minimum education is required is completed secondary education. Okay.
Perfect. I think I'm taking a last question. How does the application process work? If not knowing if this refers to UNV application process or UNHCR application process, I will start answering the UNV application process, and then I will invite Cengiz to take the floor and speak a little bit about the UNHCR application process, because as I said, the question doesn't, and I think this is an interesting information for the audience. For the UNV application process, every position is advertised in our official website. You will see the link there with all the positions. People usually would see, and whatever matches with your motivation, interest, skills, and qualifications, then you are strongly welcome and encouraged to apply. The application is all online. It doesn't involve at any stage any application fee. I know that there are lots of scam and fake emails going around, so that's why I am highlighting this. Usually one is required to put the CV in the online form that it's available, take into consideration to make a detailed and maybe somehow also achievement-oriented sort of description while you make the application, always taking into consideration the skills and expertise required for the given job when it comes to tailoring the application. Once you have done that, you push the apply button, and you are in the list of applicants who have applied. There is a team of recruiters here at UNV headquarters, but also around some regional offices, who will review all the applications and shortlist further those who closely match with the requirements of the given position. Sometimes we have no applications. Sometimes we have a very large number of applications, especially if the requirements are not so difficult, so to say. The number of applications may really be a large one. Some of the criteria that the recruiters will exercise while they come up with the shortlist are a balance in terms of gender, nationality, looking at the skills that are required, at previous work experiences that closely connect post-conflict one or the other. But overall, this is what you may want to consider. The shortlist is then forwarded to the partner, in this case UNHCR, for their further consideration. The UNHCR will exercise maybe another filter of, so to say, matching, and will invite to a phone interview those that they think matches best with the requirements of the given position. The selection method there would most probably be the competency-based interview that we announced a little bit earlier, and the selected candidate will hold a letter of appointment, an offer from the UN Volunteers Program, working at UNHCR. So the process is all online, and to preempt one of the frequently asked questions, usually it would take from 3 weeks to 6 weeks from the time when one has made an application to the time when one is deployed. But of course, given emergency nature of operations or other factors working for big organizations like the UN, it may take, if it is an urgent position, sometimes people are filled it within 3 weeks. And if we have somebody performing on that position and there is time, it may take a couple of months before the person is deployed. So this is the application process from the UNV side. I know that this came out of what we had discussed earlier with Cenge, so without wanting to give too much of details, but maybe Cenge, you would like to say a few words for the UNHCR application process.
Yes, thank you very much. And indeed, how to become a UN volunteer with UNHCR, you explained it right now, so I would not cover that part. However, on the others, it's very similar, however, a bit more diverse as well, because we have different type of contracts on short-term, fixed-term, local, international, staff affiliates, whatnot. And I would direct every interested candidate to visit our career page, so UNHCR career page, because all the recruitment processes are explained there. And there are tutorials too, as I already mentioned. And this links back actually to your previous question, Manuel, what would be the take-home message that I would give to a candidate? It's to consult our career page, because there they can find tutorials on optimizing job applications, preparing for the written interviews and assessments, and also for the oral competency-based interviews, which you rightly said are a bit special for UN jobs.
Perfect. That brings us closely to the end. We have answered most of the questions. If there is anything that the audience, anybody feels that we did not answer, stay connected through the social media channels that are being monitored by our colleagues. Connect with us through the LinkedIn. UNV corporate channel of LinkedIn is being used as the platform where discussions on recruitments are taking place. Positions are being advertised, and many questions are being answered. Get connected with Cenge to get more insight on UNHCR. Stay tuned. We organize on monthly basis live chats where we try to unpack all of these interesting topics. And this being said, I want to thank Cenge for being here today with us. Thank you very much, Viktoriia, for sharing your personal story. Good luck in your volunteer assignment. And I hope we have another chance before you leave Hungary to sit with you, maybe in another follow-up live chat, and to hear more about this experience. Last but not least, thank you everyone who participated in this live chat. I hope that you find it useful. I hope that I see you in our next webinars or live chats. So everybody, thank you very much and goodbye.
Thank you.
UNV refugees can be deployed in many different programs, and I really do see great potential for this facility. From our perspective, we see great potential for this facility to increase even further over the next couple of years. I mean, look at the opportunities we have with this very considerable refugee community, many of whom hold professional qualifications from back home. Many have obtained qualifications here in Jordan. And of course, this is an enormous untapped potential in terms of opportunities, not just for UNHCR operations, but really for the entire UN family. UNV refugees can be deployed in many different programs, and I really do see great potential for this facility.